Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our 2019 Sailing Pre-Competition webinar for Special Olympics Maryland. This is Zach Cintron from SOMD. On the phone, we also have Lynn Flanagan, who will go over most of the slides tonight. Primarily out of the gate, I just want to remind you guys that we're recording this webinar, so if you need to go back and review it for future use, we will be sending this out as a link to a YouTube video. So if you are taking notes and you miss something, you'll have the opportunity to review the video if you need to. Additionally, through our GoToWebinar service here, if you have any questions as we move along, mostly we take them at the end, but there is an opportunity for you to raise your hand, or you can type your question in and I will be checking them as we go along. If there's anything else that pops up, again, feel free to raise your hand or type in your question and we will get to you most likely at the end. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Lynn Flanagan, who is going to walk you through our slides here tonight.
Great, thanks so much, Zach. So we're going to go through these slides pretty quickly unless there are questions. They are almost identical to previous years with some updated information. So let's go to the next slide. So the dates are the 27th and 28th of July at the St. Mary's College of Maryland. The dinner dance, it is our 20th anniversary celebration of having our sailing event at St. Mary's College. So we're trying to have it be a little bit more dressy, and we have a new location, the Paul Hall Center for Maritime Training, which is in Piney Point, Maryland, and I believe I sent all of you more information, but that may be an aspect that we need to discuss further. As has been required in past years, there is a housing report for your participating athletes and partners due at the competitors meeting on Saturday morning so that we have a record of where everyone is in case there are any questions or concerns that are raised. All right, next slide. Registration for the competition is due the 17th. I think all delegations except Montgomery County have completed a training registration, which obviously will readily roll over into the competition registration. We will need to know by the 17th so that we can plan for how we're going to utilize the boats that are available to us. All right, next slide. We obviously are operating under the auspices of Special Olympics International. The rules are on the Special Olympics International website for the sport of sailing, and the United States Sailing Association provides the rules for sailing specific and particularly rules of the road and racing rules. Next slide, please. Levels of competition. It is very important that everyone register their teams accurately so that we do not have confusion on the morning of the event. We may need to have some conversation about the Flying Scots and how you guys are crewing them. We potentially have a Flying Scot team from Baltimore County this year as well, and want to know for sure how many level 5 athletes will be participating. All right. So coaches are not able to participate as a unified partner or a safety officer. They are permitted to assist teams with rigging and boat repair. And for level 5 competitors, they are permitted on the water to assist their teams to get to the race course only. All right. Sorry, I've got a message from somebody saying they can't hear the audio. So. All right, next slide.
Oh, there we go.
I don't know if that got Maggie connected or not, hopefully. Okay, so I think everybody is familiar that unified sport of sailing combines an athlete with and without intellectual disabilities for a typical crew of 2. Next slide, please. There is a swimming requirement, and this is the information about the appropriateness of athletes participating regarding their medical conditions. Just a reminder, the coaches must have all of the medicals with them at the event in case we need to consult them for treatment for any kind of issue. There is a statement attached in these slides to document your attestation from the coach perspective that each of your participating athletes can swim the 10 meters wearing their PFD. Next slide, I believe, is the sample form, which you're free to utilize or create your own. Next slide. So 16 hours of training is expected unless you've had horrible weather, and I'm not sure how everybody else is doing, but we've been doing pretty well in Baltimore County on Tuesdays. So that is for your delegation to determine who gets to participate in the championship event. Next slide. Meaningful involvement. Our effort is always to establish teams as early in the practice process as possible so that they can learn to work together for the competition and best experience for the athletes. Next slide, please. We all wear our personal flotation devices anytime on the dock and in the staging area, unless, taking off a short, briefly to have comfort established for the athlete or participant. Next slide. Scoring, we follow the racing rules of sailing, except that tied scores are not broken for Special Olympics. So that Special Olympics rule overrides the U.S. sailing rule. And if a coach becomes involved with the sailing of a boat on which they are attempting to be a verbal guide only, then the team should retire and would be scored did not finish. Next slide, please. We will division based on the first day of the event, whatever sailing we are able to complete. If we get disadvantaged weather, as we did last year, we will use the first race on the second day for divisioning and then proceed to conduct as many races as we can for a fair competition. Next slide, please. We will be sailing at Horseshoe Bend in the St. Mary's River at the River Center at St. Mary's College of Maryland. Next slide, please. The race committee is responsible for assuring that we have adequate safety support on the water and for making determinations about weather conditions. Next slide, please. We will have supplies on the safety boats on the water to meet the requirements. Level 2 competitors, we will discuss at the coaches or the competitors meeting on Saturday morning at 10, whether we're going to have any kind of designation. It largely depends on how many level 2 competitors are registered for the event, whether we have any questions about designating the athlete who is expected to drive 100% of the event. Next slide, please. Our race courses, as we have done in years past, will be available at the competitors meeting so that you will have a copy on the boat and in the sailing instructions that will be distributed at the meeting. Next slide, please. Graphic of the potential courses. Next. And courses 4 and 5. The start-finish line is closed for Special Olympics race courses, and a little more detail about the size of the course that will be set. Next slide, please. I guess we're at the end.
If that's everything that you need to cover, Lynn, we can take questions here if that's everything that you were looking for.
Can you load the event guide just in case people haven't seen that or have any questions, although that is very similar to years past as well?
I can, if everybody gives me a second here. I will pull it up. Looking for it. Computer's a little slow at the moment. Had a rough day. Where are you at?
It's a Word document.
Yep. I was in the wrong inbox. That does not help us. Word document.
Meanwhile, are there any questions, Beth?
Question from Diana. Hi. Oh, how are the jellyfish this year? Has anybody checked in to see how that's going?
No idea.
That sounds like it's a warning of thing that we may find out as we come to the facility on Friday.
Yeah, we usually we'll check in with the River Center team down there probably next Monday. And if there is any report to be shared, we'll get it out to the coaches.
All right, I found it. I'm going to share my screen. Now, should be able to see it.
Yep, I can see it.
All right, then we are in good shape.
We'll just page through this relatively quickly just to refresh people's understanding of what is included in here. And this is to be made available to anyone who's interested. There is a page in here that's basically the agenda for both days. So a lot of repetition from the other slide deck, just giving individuals information about how the competition works, what's expected. Here's the schedule I was talking about. So volunteer registration will be held Saturday morning between 8 and 9:30 for day of volunteers. So if any of the delegations have individuals who want to be involved in helping, we will have day of registration if they are not already registered with the SOMD. We will have the coaches meeting before our opening ceremony at 11, followed by lunch and then rigging and racing. Our dinner is at the Paul Hall Maritime Training Center in Piney Point, Maryland, approximately 7 o'clock. We may move that a little bit earlier. Obviously, lots depends on the weather conditions that particular day. And Sunday, we'll start as early as we possibly can. Pray for wind at 9:30 in the morning. It's always challenging. Lunch a little later and awards hopefully by 3. All weather dependent. Directions, if anybody needs them, from all different points of the compass, and including by river. As we have done in the past, we will have restricted parking, particularly at the River Center, where the boats on trailers will be brought in and the boats will be offloaded onto the beach for launching, and we will remove the trailers to the parking lot lovingly known as Guam, so that they will not be in the way unless we have other instruction from the St. Mary's safety team when we get there. We may be able to put them in the field. It depends on the condition, how much rain and such they've had. Next slide, please. This is a map of the campus with some of the parking areas marked. Next. We will be setting up on Friday starting about noontime if anybody is going to be arriving early and wants to help. So this is just a list of local establishments that may be of interest for food, and those that might deliver in the local area, Lexington Parks being the primary origin for most of those services. Again, just to review, keep going. People are encouraged to bring their own chairs. We will have folding chairs as we have in the past. Dinner dress for the dance is, we're asking for people to wear a collared shirt, a polo is fine, or a tuxedo t-shirt, something that's a little more on the dressy side, given the anniversary celebration that we are undertaking. Bridge Medical Rescue Squad will be there on both days for our event this year. This is just a reminder. Most people are very familiar with coaches' responsibilities, the athletes and partners' responsibilities, the importance of looking out for our athletes, their medication needs, their dietary needs, and of course, sunscreen and jellyfish protection to the extent we can provide such. We will have warm Coca-Cola. More just review of the policies of circumstances that could occur if somebody goes missing and how we should handle these kinds of circumstances. The code of conduct for behavior by all at the event. Lots of bedtime reading. And I know that everybody's been working hard on the credentialing that is required now for coaches and refreshing volunteer applications and such. So thank you all for your efforts to get everybody appropriately reviewed and approved for participation. And Zach, thanks for pulling this up to just go through quickly, and we should just open up the discussion, I think.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, I've been keeping an eye out. Right now, our only questions have been jellyfish, and we had a note as of practice yesterday. There wasn't too much of a jellyfish issue, so that's a nice update for everybody. Other than that, again, reminder to get all of your registration in by the 17th. The sooner the better, so Lynn and crew can start figuring out which boats, how many boats they need to start pulling together to help out. Any other notes that you want to double down on, Lynn, while we're here?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about, we are trying to finalize our plans. We have to change our lunch vendor for this year. Jeffries is no longer providing that service. So we have, working in partnership with Jeff Hagan, the area director for St. Mary's County, who's been a fabulous help to us. He has secured lunches from Chick-fil-A for Saturday. So we definitely need to know if anyone needs a vegetarian option. They do have a gluten-free option, which is baked chicken nuggets with potato chips, I believe, and fruit. So we should be able to accommodate dietary needs, but want to be reminded what those are so that we can be sure we've got those accommodations made. I will be finalizing the dinner menu shortly. We're looking at something called Chicken Chesapeake. It's got a little bit of Old Bay seasoning in it. The Paul Hall Maritime Training Center prepares young people for service on a ship. Could be a cruise ship, could be a service ship, and their trainees prepare the food and serve the food at this venue. So I think it's going to be a very fun kind of experience, and they may have a ship. There's a huge deep water slip right behind the building. They may have a ship in that would be of interest for us to walk around and check out. My plan is to send out a lunch sign-up form this Friday. So we'll have a week and a half basically to pull that together. But the sooner the better, as I will echo what Zach said, registration is key to our success, making sure we've got the right boats. I do have a question. I know I got a message from Alan that they were bringing Flying Scots. I'm interested in your crew configuration. I also am interested in how many catamarans, if any, are coming from Montgomery County or any other of the training sites.
Lynn, I spoke to Montgomery. We'll have Montgomery numbers tomorrow as well. So registration-wise, we should be in good shape. And another note that I want to note for everybody, registration-wise as well, is if you have any athletes that have any needs, getting into the boat or whatever it may be, to put that in your registration as well in the comments section. The more information we have, the better to work with. I know for other sports, swimming's one of them. It helps tremendously. It gives us an idea ahead of time if there's any assistance that's needed in some way that we can facilitate. But if during your registration, if you put those in the comment section, that would be greatly appreciated. Diana has another question. It says 3 cats from Montgomery County. And then I do not know about the Scots from Virginia, but Alan has his hand up as well.
Okay.
So I am going to open up. Alan, Alan, I unmuted you. Can you hear and speak? I don't know if we can get Alan's voice. Alan, I unmuted you. You should be good now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Can
got
you hear me?
Yep.
All right, sounds great. I'm still trying to finalize our lineups. I already had one Flying Scott skipper back out. Did you say that Baltimore County is definitely bringing a Flying Scott?
We are working on that plan. We have a new athlete this year who's been training on it, and we're just curious what configuration you're using, how many people you've got aboard, so that we can try and have.
I have one skipper. I have one skipper that definitely wants to go, and he has an athlete, Rose, who you're probably familiar with. She's done a bunch of steering on Hobies, and so she would definitely be sailing at level 2. The other, I had one drop out, but I'm still hoping for a second one. I'm not sure if they would be able to sail at level 1, level 2, but I'll coordinate with with you and Dan about that, as far as how to make it a competition where everybody's going to be able to participate to the most of their ability and stuff like that. As far as the Hobies go, it's probably going to be just 2. I've got Todd Cruto's boat that I could potentially bring up if I can find enough tow vehicles. But like I said, I'm still trying to juggle boats and skippers. So we'll have to see. Diana and I had also talked about the possibility of maybe doing like a combined, Virginia, Montgomery County team. So we'll try and hammer that out over the next few days and get it squared away before the registration deadline.
Awesome. That sounds great. The other new information for everyone is that there is a renewed sail training program in New Jersey, and they've been preparing 2 teams, and we've invited them to come participate in our event. So we hope to be expanding to more of a regional competition and eventually a national, given our solid foundation in training and experience with this venue and running these events.
Quick note for Diana, they may want to put a Montgomery County athlete on the Scott if possible.
Okay, well, like Alan said, you guys sort it out, send your registration in, and we'll figure it out from there. But if you're going to have, 2 athletes with like a unified partner, something configuration like that, we just want to have the same number of bodies on the boat, so that it's fair racing.
Yep.
Okay. Other questions?
I am not seeing any other questions at the moment. Again, remember, you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you as well. If there are no more questions, or if there's nobody else that wants to speak, I think we are good, Lynn.
I would agree.
Well, we got one more from Diana. She has her hand raised. Let me see. Diana, it won't let me unmute you because you didn't put in a pin. I sent you an audio pin. It should pop up, and if you can put that in, you'll be able to speak. Diana, you should be good now.
I just want to say awesome about New Jersey, Lynn.
Yeah, it's exciting, right?
Very. This is going to turn it all around.
Yeah, we're aware that, South Carolina is still training, Rhode Island is still training. Are you guys having your Virginia event the weekend prior, as you have in the past?
Hopefully, weather permitting. We've had a really bad string of Mondays.
You're right. Monday has not been good. Well, if you go ahead, do me a favor and just shoot me an email and let me know where it is, because I'm interested in coming down and helping, or at least observing, because I've
Sure.
never attended that particular event. I think that would be really fun.
Welcome. We'd love you.
Okay, great. Well, you guys know how to reach me if there are other questions. Otherwise, great job keeping things going. I'm really excited to see you all in St. Mary's County.
Yeah, and I'd like to just thank you all for, all your work that you guys have put in for the sailing season. You guys are out there every week for practice. You guys make it happen for the athletes so they get the opportunity to come to these kind of events and get this experience. So as all the coaches out there, I want to thank you guys for all the work that you put in, and I am looking forward to seeing you guys in a few weeks. If that's it, have a great night, and we will see you all very soon.
Smooth sailing, everybody. Good night.